we look at training loads, we look at injury minimisation, strength and conditioning, fuel and nutrition, and as well that kind of ties into our recovery. So all your ice bars, making sure you're getting enough fuel in for the amount of fuel and energy that you need to expend throughout the day or throughout a training week. So they're all the factors that we look at when we look to look after an athlete. We take a holistic approach, and we can't just, as a physio, I can't just look at injury minimisation and just look at everything in terms of like the biomechanics of someone. I need to look at all the other aspects and talk to all the other team members to make sure that this athlete can perform at their best. So for synchronized swimming, what are the injuries that we get? What are we trying to minimize? So to take this year's national squad, for example, this is a bit of injury data that we collected through that time. So we look at incidents and we look at time loss. So incidents is basically injuries that occur within a period of time. So within an 8-month period, what injuries did we see? So quite evenly spread, to be honest, but the biggest things were hip and groin, shoulders, concussion was quite a big one for us, and foot and ankle. So out of these, okay, we kind of go, what do we target? How do we know what to target, and where are our biggest bang for buck, really, in terms of injury prevention and minimisation? So we look at time loss. Time loss means how much time did someone lose to modified training or not being able to train at all to an injury. And when we look at it that way, we have two big outliers. One is concussion and one is hip and groin. Concussion is not spoken about quite a bit in artistic swimming. I wouldn't never have thought about concussion being an injury that would be highly prevalent. So concussion is a mild traumatic brain injury, and severity can vary depending on the individual. And one thing we do know, though, is people under the age of 18 and females tend to have a longer recovery time and more severe or complex symptoms around it. The other one is hip and groin. And as artistic swimming, you spend a lot of time in the water, a lot of time in egg beater, and there's a lot of demands that are placed on the hip and groin area. So that is one area that we want to focus on and try and minimise. So when we look at injuries, we look at the nature of the area that's being injured, and we also look at the demands from the sport and what does the sport want from us. So looking at a regular training load for just a 10-day training block from the national team this year, we're looking at this high level, about 8 hours a day in the pool. And depending on the coach, depending on what they have in mind, coach this year, we had a 5-4-5 plan for one block, and twice a day like 2 sessions a day training in the water, 8 hours. On top of that, you've got an hour of land or an hour of S&C, alternating days. You've got recovery thrown in there at the end of the day. On top of this, athletes themselves are doing their own self-recovery. So at night times, whether it's trigger ball, massage, rolling, compression boots, a hard sell, but quite often they've got access to ice bars and sauna and stuff like that as well. So typically we would go, okay, well, this is what we want to get to. And so we want to think, well, where are our athletes now? And we might have club athletes in the mix. We might have club coaches, and we're looking at what hours they do now and whether that might be 15 or 20 hours a week. At a level like this, we're looking at about 40 to 50 hours a week of full training. This includes land and S&C. Okay, so that's quite a big jump. So what are the potential pitfalls, and how do we bridge this gap between where we're at now, or where our athletes are at now, and where we want to be. So if we're aiming for LA, Brisbane, and those sort of Olympic goals and national teams, how are we going to get there? So as you can see, this is just a really rough guide of load. Load can be hours in the pool, it can be intensity of the sessions, whatever it is. What we don't want to see and what we know causes injuries and can be, downfalls in our training and load planning is spikes in these loads. So we really want to bridge this gap. We want to make sure that our capacity to handle these higher loads and these, increased hours in the pool is matched by what we can do, what our bodies can do. So my body, for example, is used to doing 15 hours a week. I have the strength to do that in the pool, and I'm managing that fine. Next week, I'm going to do a camp, which entails 40 hours a week. Can I expect my body to handle that amount in the water? Sure, maybe we might get through half a week, we might get through the first week even. If it's the second week might creep in, and our body, our muscles, we don't have the endurance, we don't have the power, we don't have the strength to actually manage that. We don't have the fuel coming in. So there's a lot of aspects here that we have to consider, okay? To get to the required capacity we need, it is not a straight line. It takes time. It takes small steps of increasing strength, endurance, power to get there. And Ross will go into a little bit more detail about all this. But in general, that's what we want to achieve, okay? So what do we need to do in artistic swimming? What do we have? What do we know? Okay. So what are the requirements on our body? So this is what we see above the water. We need strength. We need strength in lifts. We also need strength in a lot of other postures. So we need range of motion in our joints. We also need strength to be able to hold your leg up in a splits. In a rocket splits, for example, you need the range of motion to get there. You also need the muscle strength to hold yourself in that position and to get into that position as quick as you need to. We also need stability, okay? And stability comes in many different ways. And we can see all of this stuff under the water as well. And I don't need to tell any of you how much work goes under the water to produce a lift like this, but you know that we need strength in our legs, we need strength in our hips to get to be producing power to get the lift to work. We need range of motion in that egg beater to get to even get into those positions that tightly together. And we need stability. This stability, we need to produce the lift, so we're providing a stable base, but then we also need internal stability so that we're not swimming or whooshing around in the water. Otherwise, the connections won't work, and the lift won't work. So what we're going to talk about today is this stability and where do we get it from, how do we produce it, and how do we maintain it throughout a routine. Because at the end of the day, to be able to perform and get this lift, we need to have that stability in place. So I'm going to, I want everyone, if you can, if you've got wearing a pair of socks, or you can go and grab a pair of socks. So just going to get you to grab a bundle or anything you can use, a pillow if you can as well, or a towel, whatever's handy. And I just want you guys all to shoes off and have a stand up. I'm just going to stop sharing this screen so you can see me. And we're going to just play around a little bit. Okay. And all right, so hopefully you guys can see me. Yep, awesome. So I want everyone to have a stand up. Okay, and just find some space in the room. I'm just going to take that Background off. All right, perfect. Okay. So have a stand up. Awesome. Get you guys some space. All right, and you want a pillow or a towel handy, okay? All right, so we're going to play around with this concept of stability, okay? So you've got a hard floor on the ground. So I want you to stand on one leg, doesn't matter which one. Awesome, okay. Get your balance, and now I want you to keep your hands on your hips and close your eyes, okay? Awesome, try and keep your eyes closed for another 10 seconds. Awesome, and then open your eyes. Okay, shake it out. You can stand on both feet. I want you to grab your towel or your pillow, and I want you to stand on your pillow. Okay. All right, same thing, hands on your hips. Keep your eyes open. Awesome, and then close your eyes. Good job. If you fall, that's okay. Stand back up and then try it again. Close your eyes. Awesome. Okay. All right. So I see a few people getting their hands off their hips, wobbling around. There's a few of you quite good and holding your legs together and stuff like that. Okay. So basically what we're working with there is stability. Okay. So we've got stability on the ground. Okay. When we stand on an unstable surface, whether it's a towel, okay, or a foam mat, going to be a little bit more unstable. We're changing the amount of stability that we have coming from the floor, okay? So another concept I want to throw at you all is what happens when we start to engage our core or our trunk area, okay? Does this help us? So I want you to find the most unstable thing out of all those options. So get on your towel or your pillow, whichever one you had, and I want you to stand on one leg again, okay? I want you to think about your core, okay? So I want you to think about your tummy. I want you to think, I'm going to pull my belly button in towards my spine, okay? And see if that makes any difference, okay? I want you to think about standing nice and strong and see if that makes a difference, okay? You can keep your eyes open for the time being and keep thinking about that as you close your eyes and see if that changes your stability. Good, and then open your eyes. Perfect, and then just shake it out for a second. All right, standing on the opposite leg, let's try that one. It might be a little bit harder for you, okay? So if you're wobbling around, that's okay. I want you to re-engage your torso. So pull your belly into your spine, thinking nice and strong. Strong through your hips, through your glutes, through your belly. Good, and see if you can close your eyes slowly. Awesome, good job. Okay, and then shake it out. Cool. All right, let's try that one more time. Thinking about that concept of the core, we're going to try and stand on the ground, okay, once again. So it should be a lot easier for you all. Okay, so standing on your non-preferred leg, so that second one we did. Perfect. Okay, I want you to engage your muscles. So engage your belly, engage your glutes. Think nice and strong. Perfect. And then see if maybe you can take your hands and move them above your head. Awesome. Good. Perfect. and then come back down. Cool. All right, so you can have a sit down. We're going to come back and do a bit more in a second. I'll just reshare my screen, which could take a bit of time. So basically what we're looking at there is stability, okay? We get stability from different places. So we can be stable through our core, okay, and we get internal stability. We also get stability from the ground, okay? So this what's going on? All right, okay. So we get stability from the core, and we get stability from the ground, so hard surfaces. So in artistic swimming, we don't really have a firm hard surface, okay? So what does this mean for our core? Does it need to work harder? How do we provide this stability, and what do we do, okay? So our core, we all know, we've heard about our core. We think of it as our abdominal muscles, okay, which you can see there on the right. But do we ever think that it could be coming from the back muscles as well? So the core, the way we like to look at it, is it's the whole of your trunk, okay? It connects your upper body to your lower body. It gives you a connection point for movement, okay? And basically, what is stability? Well, stability is the ability to control your body during movement, okay? So which I think for artistic swimming, it's one of those sports that coordinates upper body movement to lower body movement. You're always moving your arms and your legs in different ways. Whether anyone else can see it or not doesn't really matter. We all know that when you're underwater and you're moving your legs at 1,000,000 miles an hour on top of the surface, I know and you know that you're also moving your arms in all different directions. So how do we connect the two? Well, it's this trunk, and we need this trunk stability for skill execution. We need it for force production, energy efficiency, coordination and movement patterns. And this is particularly important in sport, particularly complex movement patterns such as artistic swimming. And then it's also vital for injury minimization, okay? If we don't have all these other factors, then we're more likely to fall into that injury category, which I'll get back to in a second, okay? So when you think about core, think about the whole trunk. Think about how the glutes connect into your core and your stability. And then think about, like, as if I go back to our hip and groin injuries being one of the greatest time loss injuries in this sport. Well, actually, there's connections from your core and trunk into those hips. The hip is connected to your pelvis, and all the muscles that move the hip are also the ones that work into the core and give you stability, okay? So we're essentially talking about the same thing. So we're going to try something a bit different, okay? This is where you'll need a sock or something to throw. It's potentially something soft that you won't break anything. Let me come out of that again. All right. Perfect. Okay, so you've got socks or something. I want you can put the pillow aside. We're going to stand on the ground. Okay. And I want you all to stand on your non-preferred leg again. Okay. Perfect. All right. So I don't want you to think about your core. I don't want you to do anything. I just want you to stand. Okay. You're wobbling around. I don't mind. I want you to bring your opposite knee up towards your hip. Perfect. And then with your sock in your hand, I want you to try and throw it straight ahead as hard as you can. Okay? 3, 2, 1, throw it as hard as you can. Good. Awesome. All right. Cool. You can grab your sock again and come back. This time you're gonna do the exact same. So you're gonna stand on that leg, and I want you to think about your core. I want you to think about your glutes. I want you to think about being strong in this position, okay? You're allowed to bend the knee if you want to, but you can do the exact same thing, engaging that tummy muscles, thinking about the ribs and the hips all in one block, and I want you to throw it again and see if you can stay balanced and not move, and see if you can produce some force out of it. Awesome. Okay, so I don't know if you've actually thrown it any better or at a better target. I'm just going to grab my socks for a second because we'll need them. But hopefully, and it looked to me, the ones that I can see, you actually had a bit more stability and you were able to hold that position, okay? We're going to do the same exercise on a pillow or a towel or whatever you had. So I'm going to stand on my foam. Okay. Perfect. So on that non-preferred side, bring the knee up towards your chest. Cool. And this might be already a little bit harder. Same thing again. I want you to not worry about your core too much. I just want you to throw it. Okay. So just throw the sock. Good. Awesome. Okay. Let's try it one more time. And this time, let's engage. Let's engage through your belly. Squeeze your glute if you need to. I want you to just be strong and fluid, okay? So when you're ready, peg. Perfect. You guys all stood up and stayed standing. Love it. Okay, so hopefully from that, I'll just move back so you can actually see my face. Hopefully from that, what you can kind of see is how much more your body needs to work and your muscles need to work to stabilize you on the foam versus on the ground, okay? It's a little bit harder than when you're just standing and keeping your balance when you need to actually move your upper body and move your arm. So it's the same principle as what we want, is what we do in artistic swimming. So when we're in the water, we don't have a foam on top of a hard surface. We actually have no hard surface. So that stability is coming from our body and our muscles, keeping us in the one place. So we need internal stability to be able to provide us stability in our external environment, because our external environment in the water is not going to provide us much stability, okay? So I guess what's the point is we need to make sure that we're strong as a unit so that we can handle moving our arm, moving our leg in different positions, being able to provide strength and power to a lift or to even things like a body boost. To be able to kind of produce that kind of power, we need to be strong internally because there's nothing else to push through, okay? Let's go back to my slides, because at the end of the day, if we want to get better performing, get better, higher out of the water, get legs up in the air, into, I'm going to butcher the words and stuff right now, but get legs up in the air into a splits, or figures where there's a lot of leg movements and, legs coming in and out, down to 90 degrees and back up again, and keep getting everyone the same. Well, you need stability to give you that. And I've heard coaches, I've heard Lolly say to the girls, pull your belly in to be able to, to get the leg up straighter. So it's a lot of technical stuff comes by being controlled in the body. So if you can control through the core, you can allow your legs and arms to do what they need to. And as we do that, we then, what is going on? As we do that, we are in turn minimizing the injuries, okay? So we connect the upper body to the lower body. We know that now through our core. If we're connected through our core, we're not losing any power from our upper body to our lower body and vice versa. Okay, it's the same principle as when you're producing a lift with 10 members of a squad. You can't, or 8 members of a squad even, you can't produce a good lift if there's a missing chain. So for us, we need those connections to get the lift to work. We also need those connections in the body to be able to keep producing energy from one place to another, force from one place to another. It is our stable base, our core, for our limbs to move freely. Okay, it allows us to coordinate. If we don't have that, things start to fall apart. At the end of the day, we're creatures that like to get things done. And if our goal is to perform, whether or not we're strong enough to do it, chances are our body will find a way to do it. And over time, this is what can cause injury. So to ensure that we don't, we need these areas to work well. We need to, and Ross will talk a little bit more about how we need to build strength in these other areas for to minimize those risks of injury so that we can hit those capacities that we need. So, what was I? All right, so before I leave you with a little scenario, just want to see if anyone's got any questions about that so far. How do I do this? Actually, we'll do it the other way because I can't get it to work. Okay, so before I finish up and open it up to you guys for questions, I want you to have a vision of this lift, okay? And I want you to think, just imagine you're an athlete and you're training and you've come towards the end of a training session. You're exhausted, training's already run a little bit over time, and all your coach wants you to do is to get one perfect lift out as a team before you can go home, okay? And you're trying as hard as you can. You're pedaling through your legs in the egg beater. You're trying so hard to connect to the person above you. And you're pushing with your arms so that you can push them out of the water a little bit more. And you try and try and try, and then it collapses, doesn't work. Now imagine that you've taken on board some of this info. It's all of a sudden come into your head and you're like, oh, my core. So you think about your core, you think it's nice and strong through your tummy muscles, and all of a sudden you're pedaling through your legs and you're kind of coming out of the water. You don't need to push so hard anymore through your arms, and you just need to hold yourself strong. And you are pedaling and pedaling and you no longer need to do anything. And all of a sudden you're connected and you don't have to try to connect to the person next to you or on top of you or in front of you. It just works. As a team, everything comes together and the lift that's produced is one of the best that's actually been produced. So just want to put that to you. I know some of you are coaches and I'm out there as well. And I just want to reiterate the fact how what we look as the core and the trunk, that stability, is also the same stability that you guys look for in the lifts and how to get there. And particularly in the medium that you have, how we need to be strong internally to be able to get that stability externally as well. Okay. So hopefully you took something out of that. Hopefully it wasn't a bit too detached on and off the slides. You're going to be having a session with Ross Smith on Friday about taking this further, talking more about strength and conditioning side of things. I'm just going to unshare my screen and see if, oh, maybe I know, there we go. Sharing, cool. And just unmute, ask questions, anything that you haven't quite understood, go for it. Ross is with us as well, if anyone wants to throw any curly questions at him. Yeah. Show of hands though, or you can just put a little reaction or whatever. Does that concept of core and stability, is that a new thing for you all, or is that something you've heard before? Can even just chuck it in the chat there. Oh, thanks, guys. Awesome. Okay, well, if there's no other questions for us, we can leave it there. Feel free to, if you're a coach, to reach out to us if you have any questions for us offline, or through Lolly, you can get in contact with us as well. But hopefully you got something out of that. And yeah, definitely tune in on Friday. Ross will take you through some fun stuff as well through this, and kind of develop on from there through the strength and power side of things. Ross, do you want to add in anything to that?
Thanks, Vivien. Great preso. Yeah, so Friday sessions is around strength and developing strength, very much linked into what Vivien's just talked about, and how we develop and effectively develop not a strength, but a human being that can perform in artistic swimming. So that's what we want to do and achieve. So we're going to do a little bit of theory, a bit of practical as well. We'll get up and do some work. Probably ask you to bring a towel and a pillowcase. They sound weird, but a towel and a pillowcase allows me to do some training with you that you can do anywhere on site to mimic having a gym around you, because you won't be in a gym at night. So yeah, so an ongoing thought process. So have a think about what Vivien has said over the last hour or 45 minutes, and really bring that thought process into what we can do is to how we develop an athlete and develop a holistic athlete going forward. Be what I look for.
Awesome. Thanks, Ross.
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome.
Thank you, Viv. Thank you, Ross, and everybody that joined. That was nice to see you, and good information. Thank you so much. And then when I will obviously add on the technical side, when we will talk about, again, core and lift, other aspect of specific technical skills of our sport, and so, which is also, the coordination in between all of the components, and then many other factors like the setup, the depth, the speed of rising, all of the other things that obviously are more specific, in the technical side. And please, guys, don't be scared about the volume of training that Vivien showed you at the beginning. Whoa. Yeah, that's true. It's perfect. It's good effect. Thank you, Vivien. And thank you, Ross. Can't wait to see you next.
Thanks, Lolly. Thanks for having us.
Of course. Thank you.
Thanks, Lolly. See you on Friday.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Lolly. Thanks, Vivien, Ross.
Thank you.
Vivien, I forgot to tell you, but
Yeah.
hopefully you won't have any problem, that Vicky asked me to record the video, and actually I forgot, and I started a few minutes later, and then, sorry. If you have any problem, I don't pass on to her, you know what I mean? But sorry. And as I was recording, I was reading, you are recording this may be sure to let everybody know that it's being recorded. Privacy policy. I say, oops, I forgot to tell you. You okay with that?
Yeah, that should be fine, Lolly. We worked through that. Gillian's just dropped off, so I don't know if the internet dropped off or what.
All right.
We'll work through it.
Perfect. Okay.
I'll let you go back to sleep.
Yeah, I think so. At least like a few hours.
Yeah.
I think I have another meeting soon. I will need to figure it out, what's the best time for me, because it's already the third time that I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. Then it messed up my day, you know what I mean? And, but 17 hours, oh my gosh, it's so many. Well, it is what it is. We make
You
it
should
work.
just live all the time on Australian time and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Yeah, I'll try to do that. Thank you, guys. I'll see you on Friday.
See you Friday, Lily.
Yeah, fine.
That's
See you
it.
later.
Be safe. Thank you. Bye-bye.
One.